You know, folks, when I asked the question if season 6 of MLP would possibly be the last, it's because a lot of people look at season 6 as a season where a lot of goals and dreams are being accomplished and realized. You know, you got Rarity opening up boutiques in uh, Chantalot. I think that's the name, Cantalot or Chantalot, and and Manhattan, and that's all great and everything. And then you have the Cutie Mark Crusaders getting the Cutie Marks. You have recently, as of this weekend's episode, you have Rainbow Dash finally realizing her dream of being a Wonderbolt. And a lot of people are wondering whether or not this means that season 6 is it. And I asked that question because this I wanted to kind of get some opinions from people because it does seem like anytime a show is getting ready to wrap up, they start allowing the characters to achieve their goals. But as I mentioned in that other video, just because they're achieving their goals doesn't mean the show is going to end. We've seen countless live action and animated programs throughout the years, throughout the decades, where a character will achieve their goal and realize their dream, but still be part of the cast in some way. They'll still be part of, like I said, they'll still be part of the cast in some form or fashion. With animation, even when you achieve that goal, if you have a character achieve that goal or realize their dream, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going away. Basically, you could have them just, appear here and there and maybe acknowledge their dream, their the goal that they've achieved in continuity in the episode, but still, uh, it could be like, yeah, it happened, but it's no big deal. I know that a lot of people worry about the whole Rainbow Dash being a Wonderbolt deal, but we've seen this kind of story. If you think about it, this kind of story arc played out before in other live action and animated series. And primarily, when someone does accomplish a goal, yes, it's acknowledged. Yes, it's talked about. Yes, it's even mentioned somewhat in several episodes, but that's about it. Sometimes, it's just mostly in animation when that happens. Sometimes the character just, continues on in the series as if, yeah, it happened, but that's it. We don't hear about it again. Now, I'm not saying that the creative staff behind the series is not going to find a way to bring the Wonderbolt situation into play down the line. I'm not saying they're not going to do that because one thing a lot of people, some fans have mentioned is it could storyline wise create some conflict because you have Rainbow Dash, who's one of the main six, as well as one of the holders of the element, one of the holders of one of the elements of harmony, as well as I think one of the holders of the rainbow power or whatever that is. And yet, here she is. She has this duty to, along with her friends, to come together and protect Equestria and Ponyville and all all areas and ponies and creatures alike. But now she also has this duty of being a Wonderbolt. Excuse me. And that could come into play. That could conflict with her duties as one of those main guardians, if you will, of Equestria, along with Twilight, Rarity, Applejack, Pinkie Pie, and Fluttershy. It could come into conflict. And again, from what I understand, the writing at times has been superb, especially with certain episodes that would deal with things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if down the line they would come up with an episode like that. Now, do I think honestly season 6 could be it? Well, we haven't heard about a season 7, but I don't think it will be. And especially when you have people putting out articles that were posted about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, stating that from the people in charge of the series that the series would go on for maybe another 5 years. You got to remember when that was. That was 2014. So in a sense, now you're looking at almost another 4 to 3 years of the series running, according to these articles. And another 4 to 3 years, you're looking at, or 3.5 years, we should say, you're probably looking at 2020, 2019 as the end. Now, can they come up with other stories like that to fill that void, to fill those seasons? Absolutely. But here's where the movie might come into play with that. Some people brought up the fact that they could do something similar to Hasbro, that, not Hasbro, that the staff could do something similar to what Hasbro has done with other shows in the past. Now, a lot of the people that have talked about things like, gave examples of what they could do after the movie, like do something similar to the Five Faces of Darkness out of Transformers. Status quo changing up, like certain characters leaving, and all that. Um, Sorry, my finger hit the mic there. Uh, it's a possibility, and and you could tell when fans of the show, hardcore fans or fans out of respect and nostalgia like myself, when they talk about that and they bring that up, you could tell that those are the kind of fans that, like me, grew up with Generation One of MLP and have taken to have an appreciation and respect for what this fourth generation, this new generation, has done with Friendship is Magic. Now, with that said, um, do I think the show will continue after the movie? Absolutely. I only asked the question if season 6 was it because a lot of people were asking that. They were pointing things out that were happening, and to me, honestly, I don't think it's going to be over. I think the movie is just another big bridging gap for the series because a lot of examples have been brought up. Transformers 1986 is a good example. Same with G.I. Joe 1987. Um, DuckTales did the same thing. Some of the Nickelodeon movies, like The Wild Thornberrys, Rugrats, the two Rugrat movies, the crossover with the Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys. When Disney did Doug's first movie, all these didn't, all these were connected, as well as Reese's, when Reese's did Schools Out. All these movies were connected in some way. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm was connected in continuity with the shows that they did, that they were part of. All these movies, in some sense, DuckTales, same way, were all connected by continuity, with their movies. The shows and the movies were all based in the same continuity and time frame. So the movie is basically going to be just a bigger gap. It's just going to, not a bigger gap, but be a bigger, yeah, it's going to be a big transition. It's going to be a bigger gap, if you will. It's going to basically feel a bigger gap between season 7 and possibly season 8. And here's why. One of the things that was mentioned in that Pony RadioCon presentation is there could be some changes. Now, we don't know specifically what those changes are, but according to some people, with Hasbro's history of doing animated films based on current animated properties that are airing currently on the air, sometimes an animated film, if it's within the context and continuity of said show, of said animated show and series, that it always makes something change. It always causes a change. It always causes something to happen that may or may not go over well with the fans. Uh, and that could happen. I was thinking about this, while I was working today, thinking about this to myself. I was doing some various jobs today at my job at Walmart, and I was thinking about this, and it hit me that there's a possibility, and I know not, I know a lot of people may not like this, but there is a possibility that the writers behind the show, when they talk about change, they could end up replacing the original main 6 with a new main 6. Hear me out. It goes back to, yes, things like, Transformers, going from the established Autobots and Decepticons we knew from the first 2 seasons to the new Autobots and Decepticons. Same with G.I. Joe, when Dick Entertainment picked up their license to continue the series after the movie. It focused on a lot of new characters instead of the established characters. So to me, if anything was to change after the movie or throughout the or during the movie that would be reflected upon the series, that would be stationed in the same continuity as the movie itself, I could see them taking a risk and replacing some of the main six, if not a majority of the main six, with a new main six. It's like, okay, Twilight's accomplished her goal. She's done. Rarity's got achieved everything she's need. Rarity's achieved all her goals and stuff. She's done. Rainbow Dash has achieved her dreams and goals. That's done. And then maybe down the line, Fluttershy and Applejack and Pinkie Pie, same thing. I could see that happening. Now, you might say, now you might ask, well, Brian, if they were to do that, who would they replace? Well, think about who they're putting a lot of focus on right now throughout this current season, who made the return to sort of be like a friend, a best friend, who can understand where this character came from, brought back this season, and who is also being focused on and achieved their goals this season. Exactly. I'm looking at the fact that if the movie does change anything, like let's say the main six and creates a new main six, I'm not saying they will, but if they were to take that opportunity, if they were to take that chance, I would see the main six basically being replaced or passing the torch over to the new main six, which would consist of Starlight Glimmer, Trixie, the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Believe it or not, I do see that because I do see with the movie they might get aged up. I think with the movie they might get aged up because if there's anything Hasbro is known for when it comes to doing an animated film based on a franchise, is taking the young characters and aging them up. So I definitely see them being aged up to almost the same size as an age. Well, not same age, but basically about the same size and maturity as the original main six. But anyway, I see them. I see Starlight. I see Trixie. Now you might say, okay, that's five, but what about number six? Number six might be a surprise. Number six might be a surprise because I see possibly a few names being thrown around. I see most logically Sunset Shimmer. I see maybe Derpy being brought in. Maybe Maud Pie as well. I could see Octavia. I think that's one of the characters' names. And I could see them actually bringing in the first ever male member of the main six. I could see that. And I could see maybe that being with Soren or someone. So I could see that happening. Not saying it will. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying they would do it, but I could see that happening. Now, you might say, well, what about Spike? He's one of the main six. Well, I could see Spike being retained. I could see him being retained similar to what they did in Power Rangers Turbo. Hear me out there. You see, there was an episode in Power Rangers Turbo, two-part episode, and at the conclusion, towards the end and conclusion of that two-part episode, four of the main Rangers, were being replaced. Tommy was being replaced. Cat was being replaced. Not Ashley. What was it? Ashley, Aisha. Can't think of the name. Can't think of her name right now. It's kind of weird, but I think it might have been Ashley. I'm not Ashley. Uh, it's not Aisha. It was the girl that replaced Aisha. What's her name? What's her name? But anyway, I could see, but anyway, she got replaced. Adam got replaced, you know. So there was Adam. I mean, there was Tommy, Cat. I think it was Tamarin or Tamina or whatever her name was. I can't think of it again. The Yellow Ranger and Adam. being replaced by 4 new members. Now, you might recall, if you did ever watch that episode, that Justin, I think that's what the young boy's name was what his question was, well, what about me? And he got retained. Because he was still young, he got retained. So, to me, I look at it like this. I look at the possibility that if, and this is a big if, they were to do that, if they were to replace the main six with a new main six because of the movie, or to sort of start the new seventh season on a new foot, on a fresh foot, by giving us a new main six, and having the original main six pass the torch to that new main six, I could see Spike being retained because apparently, according to a lot of fans, they're starting right now to kind of develop something between Spike and Starlight. Like Spike could end up being the new advisor to Starlight, right? Just like he is right now to Twilight. It could make sense. But again, I'm not saying, but again, that's a big if. And I don't know if they'll do it. I don't think they will, but it's a big if, especially when you talk about changes and transitions. And according to some people, the history that Hasbro has when it comes to doing animated features that somewhat will change the status quo. But do I think the movie, do I think it's good? But honestly, do I think the series is going to end? But do I think season 6 is it? No. Do I think this movie? Do I think the series is going to continue after the movie? Absolutely. And again, this is what I think could happen, because if you are already having characters achieve their goals, you could achieve their goals and realize their dreams. Then this is the perfect opportunity for some of that status quo change, or some of that change to the status quo to occur, and possibly plant the seeds of doing a new group of a new main six group in place of the original. Now there are other options as well. You could do a new main six, but you could also go in the route of retaining some of the original to be part of that group. I talked about how I felt that Applejack could be, if, let's say, the movie is like Starlight's last journey, and after it's all said and done, she ascends. Because according to rumors, it's being talked about. She's supposed to be, according to continuity and storyline, supposed to be the one that surpasses Celestia, or takes Celestria's place. So to me, if that's the case, if that is true, I mentioned in one video that I believe Applejack could be the one that takes over. And that's what I said. I believe Applejack could be the one that takes over. Now, the reason for that is because even though Applejack's got the farm and everything and all that, she also has a little bit more left in her. She still has more to learn. So if they still were to kind of again, if they were still to rebrand or make a new main six, but retain possibly some of the original members to fill out that main six, then I definitely see characters like Starlight, Trixie, maybe the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and to fill it out, I see maybe Applejack being retained. Now, if they were retained 3 members and 3 were gone, because it looks like the 3, hear me out, the 3 that might be written out of the show, not entirely, they could make an appearance here and there to kind of help out and maybe come back when the plot is needed. There have been shows, animated and anime shows, that have done that. Digimon has done that. I remember when Digimon did the new series, and they had all the kids like TK and all them old enough, basically high school bound, and the new generation of Tai. Oh, no, it wasn't, not TK. No, it was Tai that was high school bound, yeah. And you had things like, Kari and TK retained. You had those 2 members of the original Digidestin retained for the new series to join the new members of the Digimon team of the Digidestined. So I could see, but at occasions you would have Ty, I, and Matt and Mimi and all of them return sometimes to help out. And I could see that in a sense maybe happening here. I could see characters like if you wanted to do a sort of a rebranding or sort of a new main six with three new members in the place of three original members, but you kept three original members to stay, but you had three original members stay on. I could see possibly, like I said, Starlight, Trixie, maybe it could, maybe a new character, maybe Sunset Shimmer. I don't really know. Maybe Soren as the first male member. I don't really know. Maybe Derpy. That could possibly be the best opportunity, best choice. But I could see Sunset. Starlight Glimmer, Trixie, Derpy possibly is the best candidate, and being the three new main six members. But if you want to retain some of the originals to kind of balance that out, I could see Fluttershy, Applejack, and Pinkie Pie being retained. I could see that because, like I said, it looks like right now you're already focusing on Twilight, Rarity, and Dash accomplishing their goals and moving on. But again, I'm not saying, going back to what I said earlier, I'm not saying that's going to happen or will it happen or nor it will happen. I'm not saying it will or it won't. But there's a lot of fans that feel things like this. They have talked about this at forums. They've talked about this on Facebook pages, here on YouTube, DeviantArt. They've talked about it all over, feeling that the movie could change some things. Now, the movie could end up being the grand finale, but if you have sources saying from the executives behind the show that it's going to continue for a few more years, then you need something that's going to refresh it and kind of, you know, you're going to need something to kind of refreshen it and make it appealing still, or keep it more, or basically keep it more, or just as appealing, if not more appealing, to the mass audience. So to me, I think the most logical choice, if they wanted to do it, not saying they would, is to end up maybe changing the main six around to where those that have accomplished their goal can move on to those goals, and you can have three in their place, three new members. Like I said, it looks like Starlight, Trixie, and maybe Derpy or whoever. But to me, I'm just saying that's a possibility. I'm not saying that will happen. I'm not saying it has to happen. It may not happen at all, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. Now, um, now as far as you know, the aftermath of what the movie could have, it's hard to say. But really, there's not really much more to say about whether or not season six could be it, because to answer the question, I think the title of this audio video is going to be: do I think the series will continue after the MLPFIM will continue after the movie, or the 2017 movie? Absolutely, I really do. Because if you already have sources saying it will, there you go. But how will it continue? What will change? You know, we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm just giving my thoughts, my opinions on what I think could happen based on what other fans have talked about at forums, Facebook groups, YouTube, DeviantArt, you name it. So let me know what you guys think, though, down below. Do you think Hasbro will change anything to kind of freshen the series up even more so, kind of refreshen it, kind of retool it a little bit to make it as appealing, if not more appealing, to the mass audience? Do you think they'll change the entire main six, if you will, with a new main six? Or do you think they'll bring in three new members to possibly replace, in a sense, not completely, but kind of replace, or kind of take the place of the three of the members that have accomplished their goals and dreams, and keep them around, but at the same time keep three of the original main six to form a new main six in some way? Do you think that could happen? So, do you think that could happen? Let me know down below. And that's all I'm going to say, folks. Folks, comment below, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.